Hey guys, welcome back to The Composed Artist. I'm your host, Stephanie Gaffney, and today we are going to hear from a member of the Wedding Painters Blueprint, Lyssa Shurtleff. She is the Utah wedding painter, and she joined last year in 2024. When Lyssa enrolled in the course, she opted in for a coaching call. Okay, so when you go to enroll in the Wedding Painters Blueprint, you're offered an opportunity to sign up for a 1.5 to 2 hour long coaching call with me. Okay. And you can either sign up for a one-on-one coaching call just to get some momentum right out the gate. I give you feedback on your Instagram, on your portfolio, on your website, on whatever you want feedback on right out the gate, and try to give you some sort of actionable advice to maybe book a job, book a wedding, book a commission, make a sale, try to get some of that money back, get an instant return on the investment that you just made into the course. Okay. That's the goal of that coaching call. Or you can sign up for a VIP membership. VIP memberships are limited. I only accept 12 members per year. And what that is, it's additional FaceTime with me. It's an additional once a month small group meeting. We could do critiques. We could talk about whatever you need personally, depending on how many people sign up. It could be just one-on-one, just you and me, or it could be a group of up to 4 or 5 people. Okay. We meet once a month for the duration of the course, and then once a month for the rest of the year. I want to keep the momentum going. We did that. We had a lot of members sign up for a VIP membership the very first year when we opened in 2023. We didn't have any VIP members sign up last year. So I was able to put a little bit more one-on-one time with all of the members, but it's fruitful for everyone. I love it. I adore it. It's kind of what motivated me to start this podcast. I really, really enjoy having these conversations with artists and offering advice or offering critique or helping them move the needle forward. Okay. I love the VIP membership option. I love the coaching call option as well. So anyway, that's an option. And Lyssa took that option. Now, because my personal schedule is just out of whack, she got 2 calls with me. The first one, she had about half of my attention. And so I said, no, we're going to do a follow-up for free. And it was really, really fruitful. The first call that we had, we addressed her website, we addressed her marketing issues, we addressed the portfolio. There were a lot of things we touched on, and I was able to give her advice on. And then months later, maybe 6-7 months later, when we had our follow-up call, that was just based on our calendar, honestly. But when we had that follow-up call, we were able to see how far she had come, how she had implemented those assignments, those changes, and then what her plans were moving forward. That was a really great call too. So anyway, I just feel like I know Lyssa really well because of those calls that we had. And I was so excited that she was willing to come on and have this conversation and talk about her experience with the Wedding Painters Blueprint. One of the things that she shared in this interview was her feelings about the cost of the course, which I really appreciated. It's kind of a big ticket item, and we don't usually announce the cost of the course until enrollment opens. Okay. It's a big deal. And so she shared her thoughts and feelings about the cost of the course and then ultimately what it took to help her decide to invest in herself and in her business and sign up for the course, and then how she feels afterward, how she feels after having gone through the course, and what her experience has been. So I'm just really excited to give her this platform to share her experience. And without further ado, let's welcome Lyssa Shurtleff. Welcome to The Composed Artist, the podcast where we explore the intersection of artistry, entrepreneurship, and self-improvement, and continue to pursue a more composed life. I'm your host, Stephanie, an artist specializing in live wedding painting, living in the vibrant and soulful city of New Orleans. Over the past decade, my job has taken me all over the world, meeting and creating art in front of thousands of people, and has allowed me to create a colorful life for myself and my family. Now, I help other artists build confidence, develop their techniques, and fall in love with the art of live wedding painting. I invite you to join us for inspiring stories of creative journeys, practical tips for running a successful art business, and honest conversations about the joys and challenges of running a studio and being a parent. This podcast is here to keep you company, keep you entertained, and is full of resources to help you on your journey to create a business that feeds your soul, makes an impact, and is insanely profitable. The Composed Artist is the podcast for the bold, creative, passionate, and genuine artist. Let's get started. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to hear your story. I feel like you and I have been friends for a long time because we actually were able to have more than one mentoring session, partly because the first time we had our mentoring session scheduled, I had a personal we were going camping and I had our call scheduled, and I told my husband we can leave at 1 p.m. and he woke up that morning. He's like, "We're leaving now." And so you and I had a phone call in the car, and it was just really, really hectic. And I said, no, this is ridiculous. Yes, we can talk. Yes, we're going to work some things out, but we're going to redo this. This is ridiculous. So I really, really cherish that phone call with you, and then the one that we had a few months ago. So thank you for your patience with me. But anyway, thank you for coming on today and hanging out with us. I would
I'm so
love
glad
to
to be
hear.
here.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I would love to hear your story and how you became a live wedding painter, how you became the live painter you are today.
Oh, it's been a journey for sure. I would say so. It all started with my sister-in-law, who is a very talented wedding photographer in Colorado. And at the time, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, she was at a wedding and she saw a live painter. And she reached out to me and she's like, "Lyssa, have you heard of this? You've got to do this. You could totally do this." And I hadn't ever heard of it. And so I looked it up and started Googling and looking at other people's websites and was like, I don't know, this looks like a lot of fun. I want to try it. So I did, what everybody does. And I found somebody that was getting married and I asked him, "Hey, can I just do this for free and just try it out?" And so I did a wedding painting in this barn up in, I was living in Washington State at the time. And it was a terrible painting, but I loved the experience. The experience was so great. And I just loved going there. I'm a very social person. I love parties. And so if the vibe and the feel of it and the energy of it was really intoxicating. And so I was like, okay, I really can do this, but I've got to make sure that I'm delivering a good product. So I started really working on developing my skills. And then I started looking for, more opportunities to paint. I did a couple of free ones. And I started in Washington and I was in the process of getting a divorce. And so I moved back home to Colorado and I was living in Colorado. I did a couple weddings there. I actually want to attribute a lot of my early success to my sister-in-law because she was kind of she started off and was already in the wedding business. So anytime I had a question, I was like, what platform do I put a website on? And how do I make a contract? She was totally there for me. She's actually gone into a more niche area where she does elopement photographies. So she'll take couples out up into the mountains and take their pictures and she kind of does this tour guide sort of thing. And then she's also her business is called Alpine Vows, and I've just been kind of following in her footsteps, which has been really fun to do. And she's been so gracious in giving me all of the steps or the help that I need along the way. And so I just sort of threw together a website. I threw together a contract. I started getting, some phone calls here and there a little bit, but then I did one of those expos. Let's see, that was probably 2020. So 2020, right before COVID hit. I did a couple expos and I got a couple bookings. And so I started, painting at those weddings through COVID. And it actually wasn't, the COVID didn't hit us too badly in Utah at the time. I was still able to pretty much go to all of the weddings that I had booked. And so it was really great to just keep getting. I remember the very first paid gig that I got. At the end of the night, the painting was okay, but I knew I had to bring it home. And so I brought it home and I probably spent 20 hours on that painting, just tweaking it and making it look just right.
Mhm.
And I look back at that very first painting to where I'm at now. Like a lot of times I finish the painting by the end of the night. And I feel like a lot that has a lot to do with just a lot of practice, because as I kept getting more and more bookings, and especially through those expos at the beginning, I think I got 20 paintings booked that year that I did the expos. So I was able to really hone in my skills that year. Um, and so I remember when I was at a wedding and I went to go paint the bride's dress, and it wasn't hard because I had done it so many times. I had
Yeah.
some experience. And so I remember thinking, this is great. I'm learning, I'm progressing, I'm getting better, I'm getting faster. And so I think that it was, and I just, like I said, I just loved the energy of the wedding. I loved the excitement. Everybody's so happy. Everybody is so like in love. And so it just kind of kept moving forward, you know. I did take a year off to have a baby. And when I came back, it's been a little bit slower getting back into things, but it's been definitely been a process, kind of figuring out where I am and feeling like I have a product that's of value. Because I think that
Mm.
that's been the hardest thing for me, is just sort
Yeah.
of that imposter syndrome of feeling like, do I really have a valuable product here? Is this really worth what people are paying me? You know, things like that. So I definitely am constantly struggling and fighting that inner voice through the whole process.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. That's something that keeps me hungry to and motivated to continue to improve as an artist because, you know, you can look at the people who are happily booking you and they're happily receiving their paintings and the night goes so well and you can look at that and say, "Oh, that's enough. That's evidence enough that
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a good job." And not worry so much about the the improvement in your style or you know how you feel about the work itself. But I think it is a testimony to you as an artist that you are concerned about that, that you are
Mm-hmm.
concerned about seeing an improvement, like looking at your very first few wedding paintings and comparing them to what you're producing now. When you look back at your work and compare it to what you're producing now, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the work you're producing these days, like what, 4 years, 5 years after you
Mm-hmm.
began? How do you feel?
Yeah. Oh, um, I think especially, so I took your course last year, 2024, and to compare just the growth that has happened in the last year has been huge, just leaps and bounds. All of the things that I knew when I would look at my paintings before, I was like, something isn't quite right, but I
Mhm.
didn't quite know exactly how to get there. I think that your course really helped me figure out where the mistakes were and then how to solve them too. And I actually did a lot of like studying your paintings before I took the course. Like
Mhm.
once I found you, I was like, oh, she knows how to do this, and she knows how to get the lighting, and she knows how to get the figures and stuff. And so because I was really looking for some sort of YouTube tutorial on how to draw small people in the background. And I just
Yeah.
couldn't find it anywhere. But then I found your course and I found your paintings and I would study them. And so you really helped answer all of those questions that I had of I could see that things weren't right, but I didn't quite know exactly how to get them where I wanted them. And when I look at the paintings that I've done just at the very end of this last wedding season, I feel like I'm a completely different artist. I feel like
Yeah.
there's a lot of atmospheric perspective happening. The portrait shirt, like the portrait faces and stuff look better. The proportions are better. Even the folds on the dress look better. You know, all the little
Yeah.
things, everything just looks a little more right, correct, and
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing I think when you're making a painting for somebody there, especially not like if somebody who's not necessarily like an art collector, they just want this painting. Um, their frame of reference is like a photo. They
Yeah.
want it to look like a photo. And I would say my style is a little more of an impressionist style. It's a little more loose, But man, you've got to have the lighting, even if it's loose. You've got to
Yeah.
have the perspective, and you've got to have the proportions, even if it's going to be a stylized painting. If those things are off, I feel like it just doesn't look right. And so I really feel like I've made leaps and bounds towards getting those correct, and being able to see when they're wrong, I think has been really helpful too.
Yeah, I 100% agree. There was a painting that you did, I remember we talked about it at our last mentoring session. I remember we were going over the website, and there was a painting you had chosen for one of the pages on the website that really fit perfectly, and it was a really crisp photo, but the painting itself showed such depth and something
Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested in, which is the use of values in a painting.
Mm-hmm.
We are so limited on the amount of time that we have to create these paintings. We see a tree, and so we think your instincts are like brown and green. Like, put the color on there. Let's go. We got to move. But manipulating the values of the colors to create depth and atmospheric
Mm-hmm.
perspective, like you said, especially out in
Mm-hmm.
Utah, where you live, where there is so much depth in the scenery that you're painting.
Mm-hmm.
um, it is everything is so grand, everything is so vast, and so you have to create that depth and bring your couple into focus. And I've seen so much development there in what you're creating these days,
Thank
compared to
you.
what you were creating whenever you joined the course. Now, the Wedding Painter's Blueprint, I'm so glad you mentioned it. It's been a hot topic these days because we're about to open doors again. So I'm really glad that you're here to share your experience in the course and to just tell people why they should or should not consider joining. What was can you share like your frame of mind when you were considering signing up the first time?
Mm-hmm.
What you were thinking about, what your concerns were, and then what deciding factor made you pull the trigger and sign up?
Yeah. Yes. Well, I had been looking for a course like that for a while. Like I kind of mentioned, I was looking
Mhm.
for YouTube tutorials on how to paint different parts and things that I was looking for. And when I found your course, I love that it wasn't just about the painting, but it was all about like the back end and the business side of things too, which that's a whole nother like a whole nother job I feel like that I have. That there's the painting side, and then there's the
Yeah.
admin and the business and the contracts and the emails and the website and all that stuff. And us as creative individuals, we just want to do it all ourselves, because it's like, why would I pay somebody else to go do that if I can, I
Yeah.
know what I want my website to look like because I have the vision, but then I had to figure out how to do it, which was really hard.
Mhm.
So I was definitely looking for some way to get all those questions answered. And when I found your course, I was really excited about it. But for some reason in my mind, I had thought that it was like $500. And so, but
Mhm.
then when you finally posted the how much it was, and that it was about to be live, I was like, oh no, that price tag is way more than I was expecting.
Mhm.
Um, and that's been actually a big part of my struggle, is knowing how much to charge for my paintings, because here in Utah, the market, I feel there's a very much like a DIY vibe in a lot of the weddings. And so people are often not as willing to pay for things, I guess. And so, and the clientele that I was working with was the DIY wedding group. That was my clientele. And so it was really hard for me to raise my prices, because a lot of times people would inquire and I would say my prices, which were, by the way, like a fifth of the national average. I was like, my prices were starting at $500.
Yeah.
And I would tell them my prices, and then they would ghost me. And I was like, man, is it too much? Like, is that too much? And so that price tag for your course was a lot for me. I know that looking back, like that price tag is really kind of how much you should be making for one booking. And so that's like a very reasonable price for what you get. But for me at that point in my business, that was a really high, a big jump for me. But I really thought about it. I really considered all of my options. and I looked over your course and kind of all of the content, all of the Instagram posts that you were sending out about what is going to be in the course. And I made that decision to just invest in myself and invest in my business because I had so many questions and I didn't have any answers. And it was taking time for me to find the answers online, and time for me to figure out how to do a website and all those things. And so I was like, I'm going to get the biggest bang for my buck if I just enroll in this course because she's going to give me all the answers to all of my questions. And wow, I so got it. I mean, I cannot even tell you how much value is in your course. I like looking back, I'd pay twice how much I paid because you have been so generous in what you have offered to those of us who are just starting out. Because you have so much experience. You have made the mistakes that we've all hoping that we'll never make. And you're teaching us so that we don't have to make those mistakes. I mean, but it's not just like the recorded course that you offer. It's also all the live sessions that you offer throughout the course, like the Q&A where we could talk to you individually and ask questions along the way. You're bringing in professionals from the industry that we could ask questions about. I mean, that was so much value. I just am so grateful that I took the course because it helped me in like so many ways. It helped my painting skills. It helped my professionalism. It helped my website. It helped me figure out how to do SEO, which is just this. I mean, you even talked about social media, which we're all trying to navigate and figure out. It was just like everything. You didn't hold back. I was just so amazed. I talk to my husband sometimes and he's like, how is she just giving all this stuff away? She's so generous. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's just amazing. I feel so grateful.
Oh my gosh. You're so welcome. That was, God, thank you so much for sharing that. That's it, you guys.
No,
That's the
thank
course.
you. I really am. I'm so great. I feel I call you my mentor when I talk to my friends about my wedding business and stuff, and they ask me about, my mentor says that this and that, and
Wow.
I mean, we've had those mentor coaching calls, and so I do really feel like I can call you my mentor because you were able to give me very specific instruction on what I'm doing well, and then where I could grow and things that I could work on, and I've been able to implement them, and it's just been so valuable for me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It really has been so much fun to be your friend and your mentor on this journey with you and to see you join in on the live calls and participate. I've been answering a lot of emails. People are actually emailing, asking about the course. Like, I'm interested, and does it check these boxes? And a lot of the questions are the live elements. If I miss the
Mm-hmm.
live call, is it even still worth it? Would you say that if somebody was like super busy, they're maybe in school or have a full-time job, maybe they're having a baby, that happens a lot in our industry, which is a lot filled with young women. And a lot of us are growing our families and having to kind of juggle
Mm-hmm.
all of this. Um, would you say that it is still worth it if they maybe can't participate in all of the live calls, but are absorbing that information in the replays? Um, how was your experience with the live calls and watching the replays, working all that into your busy schedule?
Yeah. I would say that it was really awesome to have the live calls, and I could go and if I had questions about what we were working on that week, I could go and ask specific questions.
Mhm.
So it felt like my mentor call just like kept getting, I just kept having access to you and having access to your information and your knowledge and your wisdom. Having said that, I because of the timing of the course kind of started to end right around when school started or when school ended for my kids.
Right.
And once summer starts, like I just didn't have as much time.
Mhm.
So I actually didn't finish the course on time. And so I had to go back and finish probably the last maybe three modules,
Mhm.
not live.
Okay. Yeah.
And they were still very valuable. And I still went back and I worked the course and I did the homework. I did the assignments. I watched the Q&A afterwards. The Q&A was good because people were still asking questions that maybe I would have asked. I think the live stuff was very valuable because I could get my questions answered, but I
Mhm.
still watched the Q&A recordings afterwards because I was still able to get specific questions that other people were asking, because we all kind of have the same questions because we're all sort of dealing with the same stuff. A lot of times people ask the same questions that I would have asked anyways. But yeah, I would say it's definitely worth it. And you let us come back the next year. I
Yeah.
that blows my mind. You are continuing to give, even though like I'm 100% going to join in this year and go through the course again and see what kind of material you've added. And I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving. I love that I can just keep on, checking back in and checking in
Mhm.
with the community that we created there too. And for sure, I mean, that I can just not say enough about this course. It really has been amazing for my business. It's been amazing for my confidence, and feeling like I have talent and skill, because when you're just starting out, at least I was comparing myself to all of y'all who've been around for a decade,
Mhm. We all
and
do
y'all
that. Why do we
y'all
do that?
are so amazing. And so I just was like, who am why do I think that I can even be
Mm.
amongst these great people and these great artists? But there's definitely a place for everybody and everybody's style too. Like
Mhm.
my art is going to be very different than your art. And so a client might prefer me over you because I have a different kind of painting style.
Yes. Yes, you're a
So,
different person. You and I have
mhm,
different personalities and interests, and our clients are going to be attracted to us for different reasons. Our location
mhm,
has a big thing to do with it as well. I mean, your story, people connect to your story in a different way that they might connect to mine. And our painting styles, 100%. There is room for all of us. I really
yeah.
believe that. There's no way on earth that we could get all the jobs and painted all the weddings, and who on earth would want to? And it was just too much work. Oh, that's really great. And you mentioned being able to come back around in the future again and again. I think that it's it would behoove us all to have the alumni, those who have gone through the course and have had this year of a water hose faucet of information, and then being able to implement all of that, everything they've learned, get all the jobs that they're doing, learn so quickly, and then join again the next year. Now we have another generation of artists who have experience, another year of experience. You're adding
Mhm,
more value. Like if you join the course this year and you join in a live call or you join in the critique, and you're able to step forward and offer critique and offer advice and say, oh, that happened to me, let me actually, maybe
mhm,
you experience something, somebody asked a question, I haven't had that personal experience, whatever it is, but you have, and so you can jump in, and then we can have this dialogue and we can have this conversation and we can all grow from it, and then we can all update our contracts to avoid this horrible thing that happened to this person. So I think that a rising tide raises all ships, and that's what we're going for here. I want to see everyone succeed. I want to see everybody book as many weddings as they can, and then the next year book 10 fewer, because they realize, what's healthy for their family, and what um, helps them succeed in their financial goals, but also helps them be present enough for their family, and find balance in home and work and traveling and all that. Like I want to see that for every artist who wants to be a live wedding painter,
mhm.
because that's been a struggle for me over the past decade, finding balance, learning lessons, and trying new things, overcoming imposter syndrome. I think imposter syndrome, we should all strive to experience imposter syndrome. Does that make sense? Like I
I
think
don't think
it's
anyone needs to strive for it. It just happens. It's
I,
so easy.
yeah. Okay. So here's what I mean. You stepped up to the plate and accepted this live wedding painting job. You went after it.
Mhm,
You didn't have to
mhm.
do that. It was
Yeah.
this great idea, and it was recommended to you, and you were like, yeah, okay, I'll try that. Like you were willing to face imposter syndrome and give it a try. And then whenever you start to feel comfortable, then maybe you raise your prices. And then it's a new layer. Or maybe you go up a canvas size, and now you're painting
Yeah.
larger. Maybe you go from acrylics to oils, and that's scary. Maybe you target a new market, a luxury, like it's always that
Yeah.
next leveling up, and that's where we grow, and that's where we test our limits. And it's so much fun when you succeed in each of those areas, whenever you raise your prices and then somebody books you and books you at like your middle package, not just like, okay, if I have to. They're like, okay, I'm excited, I want this bigger size. That feeling, it's such a high. It's really, really fun. Hey, live wedding painters, have you taken a minute to evaluate your business yet? Have you started to think about next year yet? As this year comes to a close, it's important for each of us to take a moment and reflect. Did you hit the goals you set for yourself? Did you set goals at the beginning of the year at all? Was there any clarity in your vision for your creative business, or have you just been hanging on for the ride? Now, imagine starting next year with a clear plan, a year where you're building a stellar portfolio and booking dream weddings, showing up with confidence and taking bold steps toward your career goals. That's exactly what my goal setting workbook is here to help you achieve. Created for the members of my online course, The Wedding Painter's Blueprint, the Goal Setting Workbook is more than just a place to jot down ideas. It is your roadmap to success for the year ahead. With guided evaluations, you'll identify your unique personal and professional challenges. You'll address physical and psychological elements that might be holding you back. And you will set clear, achievable goals and map out the steps to reach them so you can turn your vision into reality. This workbook is free to download and print so you can physically write down your goals. It includes tools to help you track your growth and adjust as needed, and will actually help you take vague dreams and turn them into concrete plans, and turn those plans into real success. Next year doesn't have to feel uncertain. The Goal Setting Workbook will help you take charge of your career and step into the new year with purpose and direction. Click the link in the show notes to download your free version of my goal setting workbook and kick 2025 off with clarity.
Yeah. I do love one of my favorite things about live wedding painting is the energy.
Yeah.
When you go to a wedding and you set up your easel, there's definitely like that, I say anxiety, but you're a little bit anxious to see like what is going to happen tonight. I don't even know. I don't even know what this painting is going to be. And then you're creating this artwork, and it's just unfolding throughout the night, and something looks really good and it works, and then you keep going. And then I love the energy of the wedding guests as they walk by and they say, wow, and you, it's just this constant like kind of ego boost. You're just this constant like, I'm doing a good job. I'm creating something. And I know that a lot of us artists, like, we do that every day when we sit down to paint. We just make something, but the general like population doesn't see art unfolding in front of their eyes.
Right.
It's this really magical thing that happens, and it's really fun to. I have a lot of artist friends who say, how do you do that in front of people? I could never do that. But I kind of get energized by it. Like, I enjoy people looking at it and noticing it. And I kind of feel like it kind of forces me to up my game and make sure that I'm thinking about each paint stroke, because I know that people are watching, but I also have that confidence too that as I'm going through it, I'm making something out of nothing. It's just such a fun creation, and everybody loves watching it too.
Yeah. Do you find that it's easy to interact with the guests and talk with them while you're painting, or is that difficult for you to do?
That's really easy for me. I'm an art teacher, and that's what I went to school for, to teach art. And so I'm very used to painting and talking to, like, as you're teaching how to paint, you're talking to your class at the same time and telling them what you're doing. And so that's always been like a very comfortable, very easy place for me. I'm also like an extrovert, like very social person, and I get energized by other people. And so I think that's another thing that works really well. I will say that sometimes it's hard when someone comes up, like grandma comes up and she tells me, those clouds don't look good, or
Yeah. Oh,
someone comes up
grandma.
and gives me some sort of advice about how this looks wrong and I need to change this or whatever, and I'm always like, thank you. That's always a little bit hard to hear, because process, there's that ugly stage of a painting where everything isn't quite worked out quite yet, and I love the challenge of working through that, but sometimes
Yeah.
it's hard when people see that middle phase when things aren't all perfect quite yet. But
Yeah.
it's always fun because you know that if you don't get it that night, you can take the painting home to your studio and you can really tweak it and make sure it looks just perfect for the couple. But it's really fun to just create it right there in front of people's eyes. I love that.
I agree. I agree. I get a lot of validation. I'm a very much a words of affirmation, love language person. And
Me too.
so I love the validation that I can get at the end of the night. And it's really rewarding to see the painting kind of come to life. Are you still using cheap art supplies? Look, you don't have to tell me, but if you want to level up, you have to use better supplies. Come on, let's invest a little. I've been using Rosemary and Company for my paintbrushes for the past 5 years or so, and I have never thrown away one of these brushes. The quality is unmatched, and they're like reasonably priced. I hate to say it, but they're the best. So I love a long handled paintbrush. Okay. I love a hog hair or an ivory, which is kind of a mixed bristle hair. And Rosemary and Company, they have like so many options. So I would check them out. The website is www.rosemaryandco.com. That's Rosemary spelled Rosemary and co.com. Or you can just click the link in my show notes and it'll take you directly to my personal wish list. It's all the brushes that I use and recommend. So check them out and thank me later. I want to
Mm-hmm.
switch gears a little bit and talk about like taking paintings home with you to the studio afterward. Is it your goal to finish the painting at the end of the night, or do you always plan to get to a certain point and then finish it in the studio?
No, it's my goal to finish at the end of the night, but there is this back door where I know that if something's not quite working, I
Mhm.
can always take it home, and that helps my stress level go down. So
Yeah.
I think that I want to try and get to the point where I can finish it that night. And it's happened. I would say maybe 30% of the time I was able to finish it that night and leave it with the couple. And I always bring varnish just in case I do finish it and stuff like
Okay.
that. But I like to leave that, if something's really not working live in front of everybody, I just kind of step back and take a deep breath and say, I'm going to move on to a different part of the painting right now. And if I can't get it tonight, that's fine. I'll just take it home. And I know that I can really hone it in and make sure everything will be okay. Because we
Yeah.
want to create an amazing painting for the bride and groom, of course. And so
Yeah.
that pressure feels really strong right there live at the wedding. So I
Mhm.
really always want to make sure I actually like to go in and do the bride and groom as soon as I possibly can and get
Mhm.
them looking really good. And then maybe the background and stuff, if something's not quite working, I'll be like, I know I can get that in the studio. But the bride and groom, I want to make sure that they that evening can look at it and just be so excited.
Yeah, that I completely agree. There was a wedding that I did a long, long, long time ago, and I guess I prioritized all the other details and not the bride and the groom. Like I got the reference photo and I sketched them in, but I was busy doing other people in the crowd and the florals and I don't know, I was just kind of busy bee painting all over. And then by the end of the night, the bride and groom either wasn't finished or they didn't have facial features or they weren't
Mm-hmm.
in there I can't remember the level of detail, but they weren't in there. And I remember the bride and groom came around to see the painting, and you could see the bride's face visibly dropped because
Yeah.
she couldn't see herself. And in
Yeah.
that moment, I was like, they don't care about anything else. Like the painting was really,
Yeah.
really good in my opinion, but they don't get like in that moment, they need to see them. They want to see, they want to see their painting, their portrait. And for me, it was like, she wasn't upset or anything. She loved it, but for me, it was an aha moment of, oh, okay, nope, got to do bride and groom like first thing. So I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
you agree. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Do you do any studio commissions, or are you or original work, or are you strictly a live wedding painter, live painting services kind of gal?
Right. Well, I am busy. I have 5 kids, and I have 2 small kids. So this is my second marriage, so I'm a stepmom too. And
Uh-huh.
so my plate is very full. I feel like I'm juggling a lot of things at once. And
Yeah.
so, I don't get the time as often to do my own original artwork. It's something that I love to do. I don't know. Now, Stephanie, you been an artist? You did like what did you did like design work before, right? Is that what you went to
Mhm.
first to school for?
I my
I can't
major
remember.
my major was graphic design, and I was a
Graphic
graphic
design, that's right.
designer for like a year and a half, and then became a painter, and then did commission
Mm-hmm.
work. But the commission work took a minute to gain momentum.
Uh-huh.
I'd get the
Yeah.
occasional pet portrait and the occasional this and that, but the rest of the time when I quit, I was hustling, 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 and so I did a
Mm-hmm.
lot of random originals. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I feel like when people find out that you are artistic, they come to you with their art projects and ideas.
yeah,
And they're like, "Oh, can you paint this? My whole family of 30 people. Can you paint,
yeah,
on a saw, a scene of my parents' cabin? Can you, so I've been trying to make sure that I get the commissions that I want and do the things that I enjoy doing. And at the same time, I also am trying to be smart about it. So I've started to do guest portraits this last year. Those like watercolor guest
yeah.
portraits
Do
that
you
people
enjoy them?
are I do. I will say that I one of the things that I took away from your course is that it's really important for us to practice and really like set aside time to practice your skills. Do the quick gesture drawings to make sure you're getting proportions. And one thing that I love about guest portraits is that I'm getting paid to practice because those guest portraits are really quick little sketches. There's really not a lot of time to do detail work, but it's really honing in my proportion skills and getting like the figure and the pose correct. And so I keep thinking to myself, I'd love to go back to school and get a master's in art, but then I have all these ways where I'm getting paid to practice. I'm getting paid to do my
Yeah,
paintings because every painting I'm getting a little bit better. And
yeah.
that's really what school is. It's just a very focused practice period.
Mhm.
And so I could spend money to go get a master's degree, or I could just keep doing this and get paid to keep doing all that practice and keep honing in my skills.
Mhm.
And so, as I've started to do the guest portraits, I've really enjoyed that, and it's really taken off. So I've had to hire extra help, like bring my friends in. So then it
Yeah.
becomes kind of this social thing where when I was painting at a wedding, it was just me and I was in the zone and I was very focused. But now I kind of go with a couple of my friends and we're just painting and having a good time.
Oh, yeah.
And so I do actually really enjoy it. My heart is in the masterpiece paintings. That's what I call them on my website. I really love honing into the painting, but the guest portraits is a great way to, like I said, get paid for my practice. The guests love them. Like they totally love getting these little mini paintings of themselves. And so it's been a lot of fun to have that extra little kind of side gig, I guess, on top of my wedding portrait that I can just kind of add a page on my website, and it's like just a really easy another way to make some money and
Yeah.
continue to hone in my skill.
Oh, yeah. Another way to meet people where they're at and what they're asking for. And
Mm-hmm.
what people are asking for these days are those guest favors. I'm so excited to share with y'all that it is almost time to open doors for my online course, The Wedding Painter's Blueprint. You've heard me talk about it a lot on the podcast, but it is time. We open enrollment for The Wedding Painter's Blueprint once a year, and the enrollment window is a short one, only 10 days long. The course is a 12-week guided course. That means I go through the course with you physically. I am there. I'm there in the modules, in instruction videos. I'm there weekly for live Q&As. we welcome guest experts to come in and speak and answer questions. Doors will be opening on February 18th and will close at midnight on February 27th. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about the course. If you're interested in taking the course, but you're not quite sure, please email me at support@stephaniegaffney.com and I will answer any question that you have. We also have the price of the course prepared, and that will be announced whenever doors open on February 18th. If you'd like to learn more about the course, please visit the website www.stephaniegafney.com/wedding-painters-blueprint. It's a very long domain, so if you'd rather just click a link, go to the show notes and click the link to learn more about the Wedding Painters Blueprint. I am stoked about this course. I look forward to meeting you inside the Wedding Painters Blueprint. Do you have any advice for artists who are starting doing these guest portraits? Maybe something that you learned about in the process of creating them, because like you said, if you get more practice every time you do one and then every job that you do. What's something that you've learned that you'd like to share with other artists that can maybe help them improve either their painting technique or the business overall, anything like that?
Yeah, with the watercolor guest portraits, I feel like it took a minute for me to figure out the medium and to figure out the fastest way to get the best painting. And so I started using it. One of my colleagues recommended using the alcohol markers, and so which I've never used those before, and so it took somebody else kind of recommending that. But I used the alcohol markers for like the skin tones, because skin is another really hard color to mix. And so with an alcohol marker, they're already mixed. And so I could just grab the right color and just do the skin, and it's immediately dry. So then you can go on to the watercolor, which is for the clothing and stuff, which is where I like to be a little more expressive and have a little more freedom and paint strokes and stuff. And so combining those two mediums and then adding even an ink line at the end also really helped me, because I didn't have to worry about getting detailed paint strokes with the paintbrush. I could kind of add those really specific details with the pen at the end. So having this mixed media helped us really hone in, and I can get a portrait done in about 2 minutes. So 2 to 3 minutes it takes me to get a person finished, top to bottom, outfit, hair,
everything. Oh my God. That's so fast.
And so it's been really fun to like figure out like what is the fastest, most efficient way, because we're really trying to maximize, because that's the product that I'm delivering to my client. And if I can tell them, I can get one done in 2 to 3 minutes, they're like, wow, you can get 20 people done in 1 hour. That's amazing. So
I think insane.
that's been the biggest thing, is figuring out the process so that you can maximize your efficiency.
That's insane. That's wonderful advice. Definitely going to try the alcohol markers. Do you know the brand of the markers and the watercolors that you like?
Yeah, I would say so. Copic is that's the best as far as an alcohol marker, but Ohuhu is a really good cheaper version, and I really enjoy those. And I like to use the brush, the pens that have the brush tip, so it kind of still feels like a paintbrush, so I can still get a little bit of that. Yeah.
That's amazing. Let's go back to the 5 kids thing. I knew you had a bushel, but I didn't know you had 5 kids. Oh my word. Do you, you're traveling for these weddings. You're working your business, you're running your business from home during the week, and you're a mom to these wonderful kids. Do you have any advice?
And I'm teaching art.
And you're teaching art. What's your work schedule like? Your art teacher schedule? What does that look like?
I was teaching full time at the beginning of the school year. I took my friend's maternity leave, and I taught full time, and that was too much. I couldn't. The 40 plus hours a week, plus my business, plus my kids. I literally would come home from work and like face plant on my bed for about 20 minutes. Sorry guys, I'm not available. And then I would get back up and I would try and find time to do my admin work for my business and stuff. It was just the 40-hour week on top of the business, on top of also being a mom. It was just too much. So I'm teaching art. So I'm substitute teaching like 1 or 2 days a week. So that's been just sort of this little bonus, little side thing that I can do. But I have 3 older kids from my first marriage and my husband's first marriage. And then I have 2 littles. And so I made the decision to pay somebody to watch my kids because it's like an investment in myself. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I was trying to find time, when the kids would be asleep or whatever. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I don't want to go into my studio and paint. I'm like exhausted. I'm spent. The energy isn't there. Like I want to be making art at the beginning of the day when my energy is like really high and I have a lot of, momentum. And so I put my 4-year-old in preschool, and then my 2-year-old is in daycare while he's in preschool. So that gives me 3 hours, 3 days a week for
Yeah.
me to just completely devote to painting and admin work. And what I've found is that because I'm really putting aside those blocks of time, I can be more present with my kids because I know that that time is set aside. Whereas
Yeah.
before, when I was trying to sneak it in here and there, I was it's like multitasking. You can't really do a one task very well if you're
Yeah.
thinking about all the other tasks at the same time. And so when I would just devote, okay, I've got these 3 hours, 3 days a week. So I don't have to worry. I don't have to think about emails right now because I know I'm going to get it tomorrow while they're at preschool. And that's been
Yeah.
really helpful. It's been like scheduling in my I don't know if you're this way, but I feel like a lot of women and a lot of moms, we feel kind of like selfish when we put aside time for ourselves. We kind of feel
Yeah.
like, what do you mean it's mom time right now? What do you mean like you're gonna go
Oh.
paint? Um, and so it's been really valuable for me to value myself enough to
Mhm.
pay somebody to watch my kids, to put it into my schedule and say, this is the time that's just for you to paint and work on your business.
Yeah.
And I think that that's been really helpful.
Yeah. Same. Whenever I was whenever I have a baby at home or a toddler at home and I try to squeeze in work in their nap time, very rarely do they sleep for 2 uninterrupted hours, and I can actually work for 2 uninterrupted hours. And when I try to squeeze in that work time and I can't, I'm
Mm-hmm.
frustrated all the time
Mm-hmm.
because,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, if you know you have uninterrupted time later, you can be present now because you know you
Mm-hmm.
can worry about that then. But when you don't know if you can, then and then you feel like you're falling further and further behind with every interruption. Um,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, it's incredibly stressful. And then, you're saying it's mom time, but it's not just mom time. You're contributing to the family. This is your job. This is
It's
this is
true.
your vocation as an artist. If you're
Yeah.
born with this gift, then you have to create with it. You have to do something with it. And if you've chosen to make a business out of it, it's not. I don't think it's selfish. I don't think I don't in it can be, as with anything, as with any like addiction, it can be overwhelming and can get in the
Sure.
way of other priorities. But I don't. Yeah, I think you. I'm so glad to hear that you have brought in help with the kids. Because that was one
And
thing that helped
how
me in my
lucky
life.
am I? I feel so
Hmm.
lucky that my vocation is something that I love because
Yeah.
it doesn't really feel like work. Even the admin stuff is kind of energizing for me because I very anytime I put energy into the universe on my business, I will get an inquiry like the next day. Like if I put aside time to work on my website, or if I put aside time to, practice my skill or whatever, it's like the universe just brings it right back to me, and people I start getting phone calls. And I find it really interesting because I look at like my web traffic and I look at my Instagram traffic, and it's not like anything has really changed, but there's something about me just like valuing that time, it almost immediately starts to just come back to me.
Mhm.
And you're right, I'm contributing financially to my family, which is wonderful. I feel really grateful that my passion can do that. And so I love this job. I mean,
Yeah.
it just checks all the boxes for me because I enjoy doing every step of it. And so it's been really fun. And sometimes it does feel like I'm being selfish because I'm putting aside time to go do something that really fills my cup.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm filling my cup and I'm making money. This is awesome.
We're so blessed. We're so fortunate to be able to do this job. Oh, I love it. I love this job so much. And I think I don't want to see people, I don't want to see other artists feel hindered in any way. If there's anything that I can do, that's another reason why I made the course, was because I didn't want somebody to just not feel like they could do it or not feel like they deserve the chance to try. Like everybody's got a
Yeah.
chance. If you have a gift and somebody's asking you to do something, you should be
Hmm.
able to do the work and reap the rewards as an artist and then also get paid for it. You know, I
Yeah.
think,
And
yeah,
get paid well.
and get paid well. Yeah, we're very, the wedding industry is a fickle little thing where it's completely outrageous. But those of us that, I mean, it is feeding a lot of families, and it is
Hmm.
a huge industry. And my husband and I paid for our wedding, and we were delighted to have every element that we brought in for the wedding,
Yeah.
and generating the economy. Like, I'm all for it. I love it. Ah, that's so
It's a once in a
awesome.
lifetime opportunity for people to just throw the biggest party of their lives.
Yeah.
And I love that I get to be a part of that
Yeah.
special day, that special moment, and especially when people are willing to just pull out all the stops. Like, it's just so fun to see what people create and what events,
Yes.
visions the wedding planners have and the brides have, and
Yes.
how they just make them come to life. It's so beautiful. And then I get to come and try and capture it in a painting. It just feels like such a dream.
Yeah. Yeah. To add to the experience of it all. And it's hard. Don't get us wrong. Anyone listening who's like, oh, this sounds like a fairyland. It is a very tough job. But guess what? Those of us who have walked before you are here to to help and to
Yes.
help you avoid mistakes and help you um, make really, really wise decisions and take care of your
Mhm.
body and produce the best work possible. And so I'm excited that you're going to be joining us again this year whenever you can.
Yay.
Join us for the live calls and the critiques and share your input and advice and experience. Do you have any closing pieces of advice for artists who are thinking about becoming a live wedding painter, or they've done a few weddings but have a lot of question marks about the
Mhm.
industry?
Um, my biggest advice, if you didn't already get it, was take Stephanie's course. Oh my gosh, I feel like this episode is just like advertisement for your course, but that's really, honestly, genuinely, truly, like it was so amazing for me in my business and developing and getting all of those questions answered. That's a huge piece of advice. The other advice that I would give would be to just practice. I feel like anytime you can set aside like just 5 or 10 minutes every day to just sort of sketch in your sketchbook and hone in on like the proportions and of people and figures and stuff like that, that's really going to help your confidence when you get to the weddings. Because I think the biggest reason why I feel so much more confident and a lot less stressed when I go to a wedding is because I have more experience. I have more practice. And so if you can accelerate that by getting practice every single day, I think that that's going to really help you feel confident. The biggest struggle with being a live wedding painter, I think, is sort of that stress of having to do it live. And I think that that's why that we can say this is not just a painting that I'm doing in my studio. This has a different price tag because I'm performing. I am showing up to your wedding. I'm getting all dressed up, and I am creating artwork in front of people. And there's a certain level of stress, and there's a certain level of skill that I've honed in before I even showed up to your wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that makes me able to deliver this product or this
Yeah.
painting. It's a very different thing than painting in your studio.
Yeah, another thing that is true, but we don't often think about it is, let's say we have 4 hours for the reception. Maybe we get there an hour early. So let's say we have 5 total hours. And,
Mm-hmm.
the creation of a painting takes 5,000 brush marks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The expertise that we provide is being able to produce a finished painting in 3,000 brush marks, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to maybe the 20,000 that we might put in the studio. The corrections, the overanalyzing, the mixing colors, putting it on, scraping it away, the blending, the like the amount of brush marks that we make, the amount of decisions that we make have been honed down to the absolute necessity. And then what's produced at the end of the night is like what, 2,000-3,000 perfect brush marks, like perfectly decided marks. I think that shows a lot of the expertise and what the live wedding painters that are out here doing the work, practicing every day, getting their experience in, practicing in the studio, practicing portraits, practicing plein air, landscape paintings, little doodles, just to get faster and make better decisions. Those are the artists that are going to produce the best work, and they're going to blow your mind. If you're thinking about hiring a wedding painter, it is incredible to watch, and then to have that painting. It is a masterpiece, but it's more impressive, I think, than something that was created in the studio over the course of months, where they had the luxury of time and the limited stress.
Well, and there's energy in a painting when it's painted in a shorter period of time. You can see the energy in the paint strokes. I feel like it's a great way to capture the mood of the actual wedding, because it's painted right there using the same air that we're all breathing. There's just something about like that painting is so unique because it was made right there using that same feeling that was created right there at the wedding too. I love that.
Yeah, I love it. This is so fun. So fun to talk about. Where can people follow you and see your beautiful work?
I'm the Utah Wedding Painter. My website is Utah Wedding Painter. My handle is Utah Wedding Painter. It's pretty simple. There's only a handful of us in Utah. It's really kind of new in Utah. But I pretty much, I love doing it, and it's a pretty straightforward way to follow me. I currently am offering a bridal package to anybody who books in the month of February. So if you're thinking about booking and you're in Utah, I have this great like bonus bridal package that I'm offering.
Ooh, that's exciting. Do you want to share more about what's in that package?
Yeah, so my bridal package is it's kind of this little side bonus add-on. And it is an 8x10, it's 2 8x10 watercolor paintings, one of your bouquet and one of your dress. And I like to paint them sort of so that they kind of match, so that they can go up on the wall like next to each other. So it's just kind of this fun way to commemorate and remember your flowers and your dress through art.
That. What a beautiful gift. Yeah, check out Lyssa's work. She's so talented, and her website too. It's been really fun to be privy to the process of the creation of her website, and to see all the updates to it. I update my website all the time, and so it's fun to see other artists keep showing their best work, putting their best foot forward. So please follow Lyssa. And thank you so much for coming hang out with me today. Thank you for sharing your experience with the Wedding Painter's Blueprint. And for anyone here who's listening and wants to join, you're going to get to know Lyssa even better whenever we go through the course this year. So thank you so much,
Stephanie. I've so enjoyed working with you and learning from you.
Awesome. Let's keep it up. Let's keep it going.
Yay.
All right. See you soon.
Sounds good.
All right.
Okay,
bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in and joining us on this journey of artistic exploration, entrepreneurial growth, and personal development. Remember, you have the power to create a life that is both fulfilled and balanced. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe to The Composed Artist on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And don't forget to leave us a review. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more creatives like you. Until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and keep pursuing that composed life. You got this.